Hello, esteemed gentlemen. Some people enter your life like a sentence. Sigma males enter like a plot twist. There's a strange phenomenon psychologists rarely talk about, yet everyone has experienced it at least once. A single person whose presence quietly rewrites the entire story you thought you were living. And statistically, the people who trigger this unexpected rewrite are the ones who don't fight for attention, don't audition for roles, and don't campaign for importance. The Sigma males. These are the men who somehow disrupt your patterns without even lifting an eyebrow. Not intentionally, not dramatically, just by existing with a level of emotional independence the average person only pretends to have on Instagram. And here's a real psychological fact. Humans are wired to be thrown off by unpredictability far more than by conflict. So when someone shows up who doesn't fit your usual categories, doesn't follow your script, and refuses to play a role in your mental drama, your brain glitches like a cheap phone trying to update itself. Sigma males are that glitch, not the destructive kind, more like the update you didn't ask for but desperately needed. They become the plot twist because they don't enter your life gently. They enter quietly, and still manage to flip your entire narrative upside down. One moment you're confidently navigating your social story. The next moment you're questioning your habits, your relationships, your standards, and occasionally wondering why this man can make you rethink your life choices while barely saying 12 words a day. And yes, humor aside, nothing catches people off guard more than meeting someone who doesn't need validation, doesn't compete for attention, and doesn't operate on the same emotional software everyone else is running. Sigma males aren't the climax of the story. They're the unexpected turning point. The chapter you didn't see coming. The shift you didn't prepare for. Because when they show up, the plot doesn't continue. It changes. Number 1. They do not bond through drama. So the relationship feels alarmingly pure. One of the most unusual and quietly disruptive things about Sigma males is how they interact in relationships. Unlike most people, they don't rely on drama, conflict, or emotional roller coasters to create connection or keep someone engaged. They don't argue to prove a point, compete for attention, or test loyalty with petty games. They simply exist in their truth, and that honesty and consistency alone is enough to unsettle the people around them. It feels alien because so much of human interaction is built on chaos, tension, and overcompensation. When someone finally encounters a person who communicates clearly, sets boundaries without explanations, and doesn't seek validation at every turn, it's almost disorienting. A Sigma male's calm presence forces others to confront the fact that connection doesn't need manipulation. It doesn't need constant texting, dramatized jealousy, or forced excitement. Instead, it thrives on respect, authenticity, and shared understanding. This pure, steady energy is magnetic because it contrasts so sharply with the noisy, attention-driven relationships most people have come to accept as normal. People start to realize that all the drama they tolerated before was unnecessary, a self-imposed distraction from what truly matters in a relationship. The unsettling part is that this purity can make some feel exposed. With most people, emotions are managed and choreographed to maintain appearances or control outcomes. With a Sigma male, nothing is staged. He doesn't react based on expectations, he reacts based on reality. That forces anyone close to him to operate honestly as well, stripping away pretenses, excuses, and social scripts. It can be uncomfortable, even terrifying, to suddenly interact with someone who doesn't participate in emotional manipulation because it leaves no room to hide flaws, insecurities, or contradictions. This is why relationships with Sigma males are often remembered as life-changing. They are quietly revolutionary, proving that intimacy and respect can exist without theatrics. And the alarmingly pure nature of these bonds doesn't just change the way people feel, it rewrites their entire understanding of what a relationship can be, leaving a lasting impression that is impossible to forget. Number 2, they never ask for loyalty, but they inspire it. One of the most striking things about Sigma males is that they don't demand loyalty, yet people find themselves drawn to them with unwavering devotion. They never manipulate, guilt, or pressure anyone to stay by their side. They don't hand out ultimatums or test others to prove allegiance. There's no scoreboard, no tally of favors, no hierarchy of attention. They exist fully in themselves, and that authenticity alone creates a gravitational pull that others can't resist. People stay because they want to, not because they are forced to, and that makes the connection feel almost sacred. The reason this works is simple. Loyalty is a response, not a command. Most people equate loyalty with rules, control, or emotional debt, but Sigma males redefine it entirely. They live life on their own terms, and anyone close enough to witness that courage often finds themselves aligning naturally with their principles. Being around a Sigma male is like being in the presence of someone who refuses to settle for anything less than truth and clarity. That standard is contagious. Without saying a word, they make others want to rise to the same level of integrity, resilience, and self-respect. This type of loyalty is far deeper and more lasting than the kind built on fear, obligation, or manipulation. It's effortless but profound. People who stay are not held by chains. They stay because they see value, clarity, and strength, and because the Sigma male never diminishes them or asks for performances. There's no drama, no emotional blackmail, just presence, honesty, and quiet confidence. It's also why losing a Sigma male feels different from losing anyone else. They don't leave chaos behind, but their absence creates a vacuum of integrity and calm that is immediately felt. People realize that what they gave freely was genuine, not coerced, and that kind of loyalty leaves a lasting imprint. A Sigma male never chases allegiance, yet he inspires it in the purest way possible. He proves that the strongest bonds are earned, not demanded, and that true loyalty emerges naturally when someone lives unapologetically in alignment with themselves. The people who stay are those who recognize and respect that rare kind of authenticity, and once it's experienced, it can't be forgotten. Number 3, they change the trajectory of people's lives. Without intending to, Sigma males have an uncanny ability to alter the course of someone's life, and the most remarkable part is that they don't even try. They don't set out with a plan to teach lessons, fix problems, or leave a mark. They move through the world quietly, following their own path, and somehow their presence alone creates ripple effects that shift the way others think, feel, and act. People who encounter a Sigma male often find themselves making choices they never expected, pursuing ambitions they had buried, or confronting truths about themselves they had been avoiding. It's not dramatic or forceful, it's subtle, almost imperceptible, but undeniably transformative. The Sigma male doesn't offer advice or impose rules. He doesn't say, do this or change that. Instead, he operates in a way that makes others question their own patterns. People start noticing gaps between their own life and the standard of authenticity, focus, and independence that the Sigma male exemplifies. This contrast creates a kind of internal urgency. They either adjust or remain stagnant. And the irony is that the Sigma male doesn't care which path they choose. His goal is not to guide, it's to exist fully in his own truth. That alone inspires profound change. Interactions with a Sigma male force people to confront uncomfortable realities, the compromises they've made, the time they've wasted, and the values they've ignored. And because the Sigma male is unshakably self-contained, his influence is disarming. There's no ego, no manipulative intent, no agenda, just presence. That makes people listen, reflect, and eventually act in ways they hadn't considered before. This kind of change is enduring because it is internally driven. People don't change because someone told them to. They change because the Sigma male revealed a possibility they hadn't allowed themselves to see. By simply existing, by living without pretense, he shifts trajectories, opens doors, and forces self-discovery. And once that transformation begins, it rarely reverses. Sigma males are rarely the climax of someone's story. They are the quiet pivot, the turning point, the plot twist that redirects the entire narrative without ever intending to. Number 4, they make others question their own standards. One of the most quietly destabilizing things about Sigma males is how they make people reevaluate their own standards without saying a word. They don't lecture, criticize, or try to prove anyone wrong. They simply operate at a level of self-sufficiency, clarity, and authenticity that exposes the compromises, shortcuts, and half-measures most people have come to accept as normal. When someone experiences a Sigma male's presence, it's impossible not to notice the difference between what is habitual and what is truly intentional. That gap forces reflection, and reflection often leads to questioning everything people thought they knew about themselves and their relationships. A Sigma male doesn't perform, overcompensate, or chase approval. He doesn't follow trends or play social games to fit in. That indifference to external validation highlights how much effort others put into appearances, popularity, or approval. Suddenly, people begin to ask themselves why they settle for mediocrity in their own behavior, ambitions, or choices. They start noticing the ways they've lowered their standards, whether in friendships, romantic relationships, or even in how they pursue goals. The Sigma male doesn't push anyone to change. He simply demonstrates a quiet consistency and independence that makes excuses, pretenses, and compromises impossible to maintain. This confrontation with one's own standards can be both inspiring and uncomfortable. People start to feel the pull of possibility, realizing that if this man can live with such clarity and integrity, perhaps they've been short-changing themselves. It's not about judgment, it's about exposure. The Sigma male acts as a mirror, reflecting not only competence and self-respect, but also the absence of these qualities in those around him. And because he doesn't demand admiration or loyalty, the realization hits even harder. People aren't being corrected. They are voluntarily comparing themselves to someone who refuses to bend for anyone. That internal comparison triggers growth, ambition, and self-awareness. But it also creates tension and self-doubt that can linger long after the interaction ends. A Sigma male doesn't just change how people see him, he changes how they see themselves. He challenges the invisible benchmarks they've been living by, forcing them to question what they've been willing to accept, and raising the bar in a way no one else can. That's the subtle, disorienting, and unforgettable power of his presence. Number 5. They leave people better, but also unsatisfied, because they can't be replaced. One of the most paradoxical and unforgettable aspects of Sigma males is how they impact people's lives in a way that improves them, yet leaves a lingering sense of incompleteness. They elevate the people around them, not through guidance or control, but simply by existing with a clarity, independence, and authenticity that most people rarely encounter. Relationships with Sigma males force others to confront their own weaknesses, ambitions, and standards, pushing them to grow in ways they didn't know they needed. And yet, despite all the growth they inspire, they can never be fully replaced because they operate on a level entirely their own. Sigma males don't conform to anyone's expectations. They don't play roles, fit archetypes, or behave predictably. This uniqueness makes their influence profound. People don't just remember what the Sigma male said or did. They remember how he made them feel and the changes he triggered in their lives. After experiencing someone who embodies such quiet strength, emotional independence, and clarity of purpose, ordinary interactions and relationships often feel muted, less meaningful, or even shallow in comparison. The standard has been raised, but the Sigma male is no longer present to maintain it. This combination of improvement and absence creates a strange tension. People leave the interaction better, more self-aware, more ambitious, more honest, but also with a subtle dissatisfaction that lingers. It's not about regret or longing. It's about recognizing that the Sigma male cannot be replicated, imitated, or replaced. Any attempt to fill that gap will inevitably feel inadequate, because his influence came from authenticity, not effort, and authenticity can't be duplicated. This is why Sigma males are often remembered as life-altering, even if their time in someone's life is brief. They inspire growth and transformation, but their absence leaves a silent imprint, a void that reminds people of the level they were exposed to, the possibilities they glimpsed, and the person they became because of it. That dual effect, better and unsatisfied, is the ultimate plot twist. A Sigma male changes lives quietly, leaves no chaos behind, and ensures that the memory of his presence continues to shape and challenge long after he is gone. Number 6. They show up as the person people didn't realize they needed, not the one they wanted. Sigma males have a way of appearing in people's lives that completely defies expectation. They rarely arrive in flashy ways or announce themselves with grand gestures, but their presence is immediately impactful. Most people enter relationships, friendships, or work dynamics with a checklist of what they think they want. They have ideas of the type of person who would fit into their life, someone predictable, easy to categorize, someone who validates their existing worldview. The Sigma male doesn't fit any of those boxes, and that's exactly why he becomes the plot twist. People find themselves unexpectedly relying on him, learning from him, or being influenced by him in ways they never saw coming. He doesn't try to fill the role of a mentor, friend, or partner in the traditional sense. He doesn't adopt a persona designed to meet expectations or win approval. Instead, he simply exists in alignment with his own values, his own rhythm, and his own priorities. That authenticity creates a magnetic effect. People gravitate toward him not because he performs for them or meets their demands, but because he fills a deeper, unspoken need they didn't even know they had. It could be clarity in chaos, a calm presence in emotional storms, or a level of insight that forces them to think differently about themselves and their choices. What makes this effect so powerful is that it is completely unintentional. The Sigma male isn't actively trying to change anyone's life or solve anyone's problems. He doesn't manipulate circumstances or people to create dependency, and yet, because he operates at a different wavelength, people find themselves adjusting, evolving, and growing simply through their interaction with him. This is why Sigma males become unforgettable. They are not the ones people imagined they would meet, but they are exactly what people needed. The change they bring is subtle, indirect, and often slow to reveal itself, but once it lands, it is profound. People realize they underestimated the impact of someone who simply refuses to be ordinary, and the realization leaves a mark that doesn't fade easily. Number 7. They create emotional whiplash without being manipulative. One of the most fascinating and disorienting aspects of Sigma males is the way they affect people emotionally without ever trying to. They have a presence that is steady, confident, and independent, yet it has the uncanny ability to make people feel a range of emotions in a short span of time. It's not chaos for the sake of chaos, and it's not manipulation. It's a natural consequence of someone who refuses to operate according to other people's scripts. People around them are constantly trying to predict, interpret, or categorize their behavior, and the fact that they can't creates a kind of emotional whiplash that is both confusing and compelling. A Sigma male doesn't act out of obligation, desire for attention, or social expectation. One moment he might be warm, attentive, and deeply present, making others feel seen and understood in a way few people ever do. The next moment he could withdraw, detach, or respond with the kind of calm indifference that makes people question what they just experienced. This isn't random behavior or gamesmanship. It's simply the result of someone living according to their own internal logic rather than anyone else's emotional expectations. People aren't used to encountering someone who doesn't need validation, approval, or constant interaction, and that unpredictability creates a roller coaster of feelings without the Sigma male ever intending it. The effect is almost addictive. People can't stop thinking about him because they never know exactly where they stand, yet they sense that every interaction is genuine. There's no manipulation, no hidden agenda, no ulterior motive. That honesty, combined with unpredictability, keeps people on edge and engaged. They experience intensity without the usual drama, and that makes the Sigma male unforgettable. This emotional whiplash leaves a lasting impression because it forces introspection. People start to analyze their own feelings, reactions, and assumptions, trying to understand why someone can evoke so much without even trying. In the end, the Sigma male's influence is subtle but profound. He doesn't chase attention or control emotions, yet he leaves a trail of self-awareness, reflection, and emotional turbulence that people remember long after he has moved on. Number 8. They trigger self-realizations. Others aren't ready. For Sigma, males have a rare and unsettling ability to make people face truths about themselves that they've been avoiding. They don't lecture, criticize, or try to force anyone to change. They simply exist in a way that exposes the gaps, contradictions, and weaknesses that most people hide from, even from themselves. Interacting with a Sigma male often leaves people feeling disarmed, not because he is confrontational, but because his presence holds a mirror to realities others are reluctant to face. Suddenly, people find themselves asking uncomfortable questions about their choices, their behaviors, and even their values. This effect isn't manufactured or deliberate. A Sigma male doesn't set out to provoke self-reflection or challenge people emotionally. He lives in alignment with his own principles, maintains his independence, and refuses to perform for approval. That authenticity naturally exposes pretense, complacency, and insecurity in those around him. People start noticing the ways they've settled for less, the compromises they've made, and the patterns they've justified for years. Because the Sigma male doesn't validate or enable these patterns, the realization hits harder than any lecture or criticism could. The strange part is that these self-realizations are often uncomfortable and even disorienting. People don't just recognize their flaws, they recognize the part of themselves that they allowed to exist unchecked. That confrontation with self is both powerful and unnerving. It challenges the narratives people have built about who they are, what they deserve, and how they interact with the world. Yet despite the discomfort, this is what makes the Sigma male's influence so transformative. He doesn't force growth or impose change, but the insights he triggers push people toward introspection and evolution. They leave his presence with a heightened sense of awareness, a sharper understanding of themselves, and sometimes even a re-evaluation of their goals and relationships. The Sigma male doesn't just appear in people's lives, he reshapes the internal landscape, prompting self-realizations that most aren't ready for, and yet, deep down, can't deny. It's subtle, disarming, and unforgettable, leaving a lasting imprint long after he's gone. Number 9. They end patterns. Others didn't know they were stuck. In Sigma, males have a way of quietly disrupting the routines, habits, and cycles that people don't even realize they're trapped in. They don't do it intentionally, and they certainly don't make a show of it. They live life on their own terms, following their own rules and priorities, and that alone is enough to reveal how others have been limiting themselves without noticing. Whether it's a friend stuck in repetitive social drama, a partner caught in unhealthy emotional cycles, or a colleague spinning in predictable professional patterns, the presence of a Sigma male often acts as a catalyst that breaks the rhythm. What makes this effect so powerful is that the Sigma male doesn't tell anyone to change. He doesn't preach or impose judgment. He simply demonstrates that there is another way to live, calmly, decisively, and independently. Observing someone who refuses to participate in the predictable chaos forces people to confront the patterns they've accepted as normal. It's uncomfortable because it highlights complacency, but it's also illuminating because it opens a door to possibilities they never considered. The Sigma male's influence is subtle but undeniable. People start noticing their own habits, how they react to situations, how they chase validation, how they compromise their standards, and realize these patterns don't serve them. The contrast between their own behaviors and the Sigma's composed independence makes them question why they've been running in circles all this time. In many cases, this realization sparks actual change as people consciously adjust their routines, behaviors, and mindsets to align with a higher standard they hadn't thought achievable. This is why Sigma males become such pivotal figures in other people's lives. They don't enter with the intention of fixing anyone, but their existence alone interrupts stagnation. By showing that life doesn't have to be bound by repetitive cycles, they force a shift in perspective, creating room for growth, clarity, and transformation. People often leave their influence more self-aware, more decisive, and freer than they were before, even if they never fully understand how it happened. The Sigma male is, quietly but profoundly, a disruptor of stagnation. Number 10. They don't compete, and that's what makes everyone else suddenly feel competitive. One of the most unsettling qualities of Sigma males is that they operate entirely outside the social competition most people are constantly engaged in. They don't need to prove themselves, show off achievements, or chase recognition. They don't compare themselves to others, measure their worth by status, or engage in petty rivalry. They exist with quiet confidence and self-sufficiency, focused on their own path rather than someone else's expectations. And that is precisely what makes people around them feel off balance, even competitive, without realizing why. When someone doesn't play by the usual rules of social hierarchy, it forces others to confront their own insecurities. People are used to constant comparison. Who has the better job, the better partner, the better lifestyle? But the Sigma male doesn't enter that arena. He's immune to the social scoreboards that most measure their lives by. His indifference doesn't go unnoticed. On the contrary, it highlights how much energy and attention others are wasting on validation, recognition, and competition. People suddenly feel the urge to step up or measure up, not because he's pressuring them, but because his presence exposes their own restlessness and lack of alignment with their true goals. This phenomenon creates an invisible tension. There's no confrontation, no challenge, and no argument. But a silent comparison emerges. The Sigma male becomes a benchmark not by force, but by example. He demonstrates that success, respect, and influence don't require proving oneself to anyone else. They require authenticity, skill, and integrity. This makes people aware of their own shortcuts, compromises, or reliance on external approval. The irony is that the Sigma male's lack of competition is what makes him so competitive in influence. He doesn't need to compete, yet he changes the dynamics around him. People start striving harder, thinking deeper, and evaluating themselves more critically. They become aware of the ways they've been playing small or chasing recognition, and the contrast leaves a lasting impact. Without ever trying, the Sigma male disrupts the status quo and makes everyone else re-examine their place in the social hierarchy. His detachment becomes a mirror, showing others what they're really up against: themselves. Number 11. They are the only person who doesn't want something from anyone. One of the most disarming and unforgettable qualities of Sigma males is that they exist in a way that requires nothing from anyone else. In a world where most interactions are transactional, whether consciously or unconsciously, the Sigma male breaks the mold. He doesn't seek approval, validation, attention, or even emotional reinforcement from others. He doesn't manipulate, charm, or perform to get what he wants. This absence of need creates a kind of magnetic tension that draws people in and simultaneously unsettles them. People are used to measuring relationships and interactions by what they can extract from them. Friendships, partnerships, and alliances are often built on mutual benefit, reciprocity, or expectation. The Sigma male refuses all of it. He doesn't keep score, he doesn't demand loyalty, and he doesn't seek to control outcomes through influence or persuasion. That lack of dependency makes him unpredictable and, in many ways, untouchable. People instinctively notice that he is operating outside the normal rules, and that realization makes them re-evaluate their own motives and behaviors. This detachment isn't coldness or indifference, it's clarity. A Sigma male's independence and self-sufficiency force others to confront their own relational habits. People start noticing how much of their energy is spent trying to influence, impress, or please others, and the Sigma male exposes that effort as unnecessary. He shows that a person can exist fully, navigate the world powerfully, and form meaningful connections without ever asking for anything in return. The impact of this is profound. Being around someone who doesn't require anything pushes people to reflect on their own attachments, dependencies, and expectations. It inspires admiration, respect, and often loyalty, but on entirely voluntary terms. People are drawn to the Sigma male not because he demands it or needs it, but because his independence highlights what is possible when someone refuses to conform to transactional social norms. In that way, the Sigma male becomes a quiet revolution in every interaction, a person who changes the dynamic simply by being whole, complete, and free of need, leaving a lasting impression that lingers far beyond the encounter. Number 12. They make others doubt their own masks. Sigma males have a way of exposing authenticity in a world full of facades, and it has a destabilizing effect on those around them. Most people navigate life wearing masks, subtle performances designed to fit expectations, gain approval, or hide insecurities. They have learned how to manage perceptions, manipulate impressions, and present versions of themselves that they think will be accepted. The Sigma male, however, doesn't operate on any of those social rules. He shows up fully himself, unfiltered and unbothered, and that honesty forces others to question the versions of themselves they've been projecting. Being around a Sigma male is disorienting because it highlights the contrast between authentic presence and performance. He doesn't flatter, exaggerate, or compete for attention. He doesn't need to impress or manipulate. That refusal to conform makes people suddenly aware of how much energy they've been investing in appearing a certain way. The masks they've grown comfortable wearing, the smiles, the witty remarks, the carefully curated opinions, all feel exposed in comparison to someone who doesn't wear one at all. This isn't about shame or judgment. It's a subtle confrontation with truth, a reminder that authenticity exists and that they are often avoiding it. The result is introspection, sometimes uncomfortable, sometimes enlightening. People begin to wonder why they feel compelled to hide parts of themselves, why they seek approval, and why they adjust their behaviors based on imagined expectations. The Sigma male doesn't tell them the answers, he doesn't need to, but his mere presence triggers the questions. That tension between who they pretend to be and who they truly are creates a magnetic, unforgettable dynamic. In essence, Sigma males are mirrors. They don't force recognition, yet they provoke it by existing without disguise. By making others doubt their own masks, they compel self-reflection and force authenticity to the surface. People leave interactions with them unsettled, more aware, and often inspired to shed the performances they've grown accustomed to. That subtle, transformative effect is why Sigma males are remembered long after they are gone, because they expose truths no one else could. Sigma males are more than just individuals moving through life on their own terms. They are the quiet disruptors, the unexpected catalysts, the plot twists people never see coming. They don't conform, compete, or chase approval, yet their presence forces reflection, growth, and transformation in ways that no one else can. They reveal the hidden truths, challenge long-held patterns, and expose the facades people rely on to navigate their worlds. Whether through their unwavering independence, their emotional subtlety, or the raw authenticity they carry, Sigma males leave a mark that is profound, lasting, and impossible to ignore. They are not the heroes or villains of the story, and they don't play roles designed to fit expectations. They operate on a level entirely their own, reshaping the dynamics of every interaction simply by being themselves. People are drawn to them, challenged by them, and forever altered because of them, often without realizing it. The Sigma male doesn't enter to change lives, yet lives are changed anyway. His influence is quiet, indirect, and immensely powerful, leaving behind an imprint that lingers long after he has gone. Understanding Sigma males is not just about recognizing personality traits. It's about recognizing the subtle, transformative energy they bring to every connection, every conversation, and every environment they touch. They remind us that true influence doesn't demand, true strength doesn't compete, and real authenticity can alter the course of people's lives without effort or intention. They are living proof that the most profound shifts often come from the people we never expected and the forces we didn't anticipate. If this content resonated with you, and you want to explore more insights into human behavior, Sigma males, and the invisible forces that shape our lives, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Don't just stop there. Like, comment, and share this video with someone who needs to understand the quiet power of the Sigma male. Every interaction you have, every perspective you challenge starts with awareness, and awareness begins here. Stay curious, stay observant, and never underestimate the quiet ones. They might just change everything.